George has a sick kid, Chad, scoot your chair.
Oh, George does?
Has a flu kid.
I'm pretty sure she's gonna.
Okay,
Oh, okay, never mind.
we'll start this special city council meeting Wednesday, September 20th, 2023 at 4:30 PM. And up for discussion is Country Estates Water Improvement Project.
Can you talk to that a little bit since I was out and looked at it?
Yes,
So
Mike.
when they engineered that, they engineered the curb stops to fall on the shoulder of the road. And I can only assume it's because they didn't want to take the time to have the contractor go to the backside of the utility easement to where it would be approximately 5 to 8 feet off the edge of the road, which would put it into the front part of the lot of each of the homeowners out there. Well, to date, we've replaced 2 of them already before the water's even been turned on from being run over and bent. It's an engineering error, in my opinion.
It's
It
definitely.
should have been into the lot. They were asked about it and they said that it is what it is. Well, we can't leave it like this because every time one gets run over, there's going to be a section of that water line that has to be shut off until it can get fixed. Her and her group of people are going to hate us because it's going to happen when they blade the road in the summer, when they blade the road in the winter, when the garbage truck comes to pick up garbage, when Jesse pulls out with his motor home. Any traffic that falls on the edge of that road is going to destroy those curb
well, if
stops.
you meet somebody on that road, you naturally pull over. If you pull over, you're on top of the curb stops. That's not a joke. That is the truth.
Hence the word curb stop.
Behind
Why
the curb.
it's not a road stop, it's
Right.
a curb
Exactly.
stop. So why is it not in the curb?
So
or-
here's where we're at. We've got, not us, the city has no part of this. The homeowners out there, from what I understand, the majority of them have hired the same outfit that did the boring for the install of the water mains. And they're gonna bore from the curb stop to their house. It's not the same company. It's a different company. Okay, so it's a different company. He's gonna bore from where they need to be, where the curb stop is. And it's Alan Fenstermaker that all the homeowners have talked to about making
He's
the
gonna-
connection.
He's gonna do all the digging. He's gonna make the connections from the curb stop and at the house. But, in between there, on most of them, this guy that's boring is gonna bore it. And, now, he's not gonna bore every one, I don't think, because some of them would be just cheaper having Alan just dig it across their grass. Not that they like the idea of that. But the ones with the sprinkler systems, I mean, that's another issue there, I mean,
But I guess what I was getting at is Alan's got to dig it up at the curb stop to make that connection. And I can only imagine that being it's all exposed and for him to do his work, that we could get him to move them curb stops where they need to be.
right, it requires Alan to make another bell hole to disconnect it where it is, to clamp the line off or bleed that line down. That's probably the chosen way to do it as far as I'm concerned, but anyway, take the pressure off that, remove the curb stop, put a coupling there, run this 10 feet of pipe, and then bring the curb stop up in the grass at everybody's place there. So the city's gonna own another 10 feet of pipe basically going onto the lot, but it's no different than any other city street. They're not gonna be owning any more than any other city street. So that part of it isn't even a big deal. However, that part will be the city's responsibility to pay for, not the homeowner's responsibility.
I just don't see any reason. I mean, there's no way around this. Otherwise we're just gonna, what's a curb stop cost, Tuffy?
I think, I don't know the current cost.
$800,
I was thinking 800.
They're pretty close.
somewhere right in there, I think. So every time we break one, it's $800. That's material. That's not labor to dig it up in January.
Now, this guy DeBoer is $2,500. Basically, if he's gonna bore underneath that, the services, then the city's got some of that bore, is the kind of the way I see it, up to the curb stop. So whatever footage that is that he's boring in up to the curb stop will be the city's responsibility on top of what Allen's is. It's not- it's
don't
not a
think so.
lot.
I mean, because how are you gonna figure that out? I mean.
Well, if Allen did,
Because it's a minimum of, he's gonna charge that minimum regardless.
he's told them all that it is that price, the $2,500.
So I mean, if you take 10 feet off, that's not gonna change that price.
It probably won't to the homeowner, but I mean, it's boring under the,
Right, but that wouldn't
Utilities,
add any
but-
cost to that bore.
it probably isn't.
I don't wanna get into taking 10 feet out or trying to figure out 10 feet of that bore and shouldering that. That bore is the bore. That's the homeowner's responsibility.
But some of them aren't gonna bore. That's the only thing I was
Then-
getting at,
Yeah, so then that's just gonna be
you know,
whatever the excavating is.
yeah.
And if we have our work done prior to them putting in. their
All I was
service
saying
line,
is it takes Allen a lot less time if we have them bore that as dig it. Because then Allen's only dealing with one bell hole basically, and I mean, where he ties in, but he doesn't have to dig under the utilities is what it's saving. But
Well,
it doesn't matter. I mean,
He would still have to dig under him though, cause you gotta get it exposed.
Allen would have to dig under him, but he won't have to dig under him if it's bored.
I guess I think he would still have to.
No, he doesn't have to. I mean, it's plain.
How's he disconnect
He's got to dig on the street side of him and he's got to dig
oh,
on,
all right, I see what you're saying. He's gonna be at depth.
that's why I
6
was,
feet out.
that's why I was saying that. Is it just saves him, but anyway, the point of this meeting, there isn't anybody on the street that's not willing to sign, because I called them all. They're all willing to sign an easement, to have it on their property. They would have done that in the first place had this been engineered correctly. Bros should pay for this whole damn thing, to be honest with you. Because if there's ever been a blatant mistake, this is one. I don't know of anybody that would have engineered like this.
I'm just a little late to the game, just the 1,000-foot overview. What I'm gathering is the water project out in that area. This curb stops are basically in the street. Is that what I'm hearing?
They are definitely in the street.
Yeah, late to the party. I just want to make sure I understand. And that wasn't caught how?
Hmm?
How was that not caught? I mean, is it already in place and they're in?
Well, the city approved because we put too much faith in Bros, I guess. We approved their plan. Donovan was the one that come up with the plan for Bros. And it wasn't caught till after it was bid out. And then we also caught the fact that the hydrants were gonna be right on the road. You can't have that either. So last month, we took it out of their bid to get those you know, because they wanted a huge change order to move them back into yards.
That was the $11,000 or $13,000.
18.
Correction that they were talking, that Ken was referring to Tuesday night.
So anyway, we have those 2 hydrants that still need to be put in. Alan could put them in at the same time, basically, but
Yeah, we'll have to get a bid on those.
yeah,
Because that's city side where the homeowners have hired Alan to do their connection, so he's already got the hole open and they're starting. The bore guy, I think, is starting tomorrow if weather's right.
well, they're not gonna be able to do it in the same hole anyway, because, I mean, he's gonna have to cut into the main line now, you know, to put that hydrant in.
Right.
So he's gotta go all the way to the middle of the street to do that. But it's something we have to have done. Do we have to have it done this fall? No. And, you know,
That one that's going in down by Galen, my house down there is right in between, if I understand right, the 2 curb stops. It might be worth doing it at the same time.
well, that one, exactly, but
Yeah, regardless, that hydrant's gotta be bid. Gotta put that out for Allen and Montreal Builders and Cudmore and our local people that bid on that stuff. In my opinion. Offer it to Arlen to see who wants the work.
well, and if we're gonna do that, then we probably should try to do it fairly soon. Just get a price from them. So we can get that one done, actually. I don't think it'd take but a couple days to get a number on that, but, and then just go with the low bid on it. But,
Somebody'd have to go put stakes out so they knew what they were,
right, but
non-footage.
what I need right now is a motion, to approve the moving the curb stops in 10 feet on everyone's property, both north and south. Now, not everyone needs to be moved out there, but most of them do. You know, mine doesn't, Pulver's doesn't, but,
Corey Rice doesn't.
Right.
That one on,
Nesham, his
doesn't.
doesn't need to be moved.
So there's probably at least 5 or 6 that do.
the one on Nellie Larson's, if you move that in 10 feet, you're gonna be in her tree row.
Right.
So what do you wanna do there? 'Cause
That would probably have to be moved off to the side as well, because it's right on the edge of her driveway too. So, but that's easy enough to do when you're, I mean.
when I till trees, I don't wanna tear it up then either.
No, but it could be moved wherever it needs to be there pretty easy, because all they're gonna do is use a coupling to tie on to that. And of course, poly pipe, so you can move that thing wherever you want. It's just that we'll have to go down there and make sure of where it should be.
So I guess my only question is, did we figure out whose responsibility it is?
Do what?
Did we figure out monetarily whose responsibility it is to move the curb stop currently?
Currently, it's ours,
Well, it's ours.
because
so-
we allowed it to happen this way and we shouldn't have.
We
Okay.
accepted,
So how
we
do we
accepted that
differentiate
plan.
that in the boring and the,
Because the boring is completely separate. That's a ticket between the
Okay.
boring company and the homeowner. As is the connecting, the house side connection of the curb stop is also a contract between Allen Fenstemaker and the homeowner.
But now the homeowners are all the homeowners are under the assumption that this can be put on their specials, that bill.
Right.
So, some won't, that it's not gonna be, they're gonna just pay for it, so.
In that case, then I'd make a motion to move the curb stops from the road out 10 feet to the north and to the south.
Okay, and I think it's 10 foot, George, but it's in, what would you say?
Estimated 10 feet,
Yeah,
approximately 10 feet.
it isn't much farther than that, to be honest with you, so I mean, if it was 12 feet or something like that, maybe, it's just to get across the one easement. And then it's gonna be on the other side of that easement.
Okay, I'll amend that motion to be, I make a motion to move the curb stops to the proper placement on the other side of the easement.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second? Any other discussion about it? Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed, motion carries. Okay, the consent form for the fire department fence that was slipped in on the agenda.
I didn't do it, Lynn did. Good evening. Right under there and then backed up. So the fire department turned in a building permit on Monday. Over behind their building, in between their building and the warehouse for the Prairie Home Furnishings, there's the tower. They would like to put essentially gates or some chain link and gates on what would be the east and the west side, on the alley side and on the street side. But I would need permission from the council to be able to have Lynn sign a consent form to do that because it will be on the property line.
So moved.
George?
Second.
Okay, motion and a
Tie.
second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.